There's hushed silence here. We will call the meeting to order and ask Barbara to call the roll.
Commissioners Brower, Fleming, Funderburk, and Levine present.
Thank you. We're expecting Commissioner Noonan, but I think we'll begin. This proceeding is broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. I have no opening remarks, except I do have a motion to defer item 19. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's passed. General Manager, do you have a report?
I have no report today, sir, from myself, and some of the remarks from Water and Power and Administrative will make in conjunction with their reports at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. Comments from commissioners on agendized items and requests from commissioners relating to departmental operations? Hearing none, we have one speaker card for public comments.
Okay, the speaker is Lorenzo Brazil.
Good morning. I just retired August 1st, but I've been in the department for 30 years, and I have 2 outstanding grievances that haven't went anywhere. This October 12th will be 4 years, and there's been nothing. We had meetings, and then they just stopped, and then we haven't had an arbitration or meeting with the general manager. I don't know where they are. And that's basically all I wanted to bring up and try to find out what can be done about that.
Thank you. We will look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from the ratepayer advocate on agendized items.
No comments at this time. I will have comments on a couple of the items.
We should hope so. Is there a motion between Levine, Funderburk, and Barad to approve the minutes of the July 21st meeting?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. They're approved. Okay, we're going to go through the consent calendar, which at the moment is item 7 through item 18. Do any commissioners wish to remove any items from the consent calendar?
Number 15.
Number 15. Any others? Okay, do we have a motion to approve items 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, and 18?
We have speaker cards for 11, 13, and 16.
Okay, so delete 11.
I'm sorry, not 13, just 11
11,
and 16.
not 13.
Yeah.
So delete 11 and 16 from that motion. And is there a motion to approve all of those named items other than 11 and 16?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
And 15.
15 or 16?
15, I think Ms.
Is the one that Jill pulled.
Berard wanted to talk about.
Well, I already pulled that.
Okay.
Okay, so look, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 17, and 18. Those are what's covered. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's passed. So items 11, 15, and 16 will be heard along with the regular agenda. But before we hear the substance of these agendized items, I'd like counsel to give us the magic words to go into a closed session, and then we'll come back for the open session.
The board shall report any action taken in closed session and the vote or abstention of every member present thereon in accordance with Section 54 and 957.1 of the California Government Code.
Thank you. We will recess into closed session.
That's kind of how you want it.
12 that may have left, but I guess we'll find out.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay. Now I,
Christina would like to.
on the record for, no.
We're recording?
Meeting will return to order. We're on item 11, which was pulled from the consent calendar because there's one speaker card. Before we get to it, Commissioner Noonan would like item 12, which was approved by consent, to be withdrawn from consent. If there's no objection, we'll do that. The only question I have is if there was staff that was here for item 12 that would have... What?
They're here.
They're here. Okay, very good. So item 11, speaker card, Barbara?
Okay, the speaker is Gary Arnold.
Good morning. My name is Gary Arnold. I'm a member of Little Lake Ranch, and we own 1,200 acres in the Rose Valley, just south of the proposed project identified as agenda item 11. Our lake is spring-fed. It relies upon the underground aquifer for all of the water supplies to support all of our riparian habitat at the lake. First, I want to tell you that we very much appreciate working with your staff. We had some great dialogue going forward to confine the project to this long-term pumping test, which we are in favor of. We just think that the environmental document, the MND, is still deficient in a few respects, and I would just like to very, very quickly identify those areas. Our Rose Valley has already been subjected to significant pumping by COSO Operating Company, pursuant to an EIR and a CUP issued by the County of Inyo. Under that EIR, there was a environmental level of significance established for water loss at Little Lake of 10%, so that any pumping in our valley has to stop if it is ever projected that we would lose more than 10% of our water inflows. Your MND does not carry forward with that threshold of significance. We think without it that the document is not sustainable as an MND and would request that that be added. COSO is also permitted by the county to pump a total of 1,614 acre-feet of water from July 1, 2015 to June 30th. There's nothing in the documents that would mandate or limit the totality of pumping between LADWP and COSO so that that level is never exceeded. Under the hydrology models established for the COSO project, once that level is reached, our water losses are already projected to be 10%. So that if there were any additive pumping, then the level of significance would be exceeded. So I'd request that. I think the MND also does not say that DWP would curtail its own pumping or reduce pumping if that 10% threshold is ever exceeded, and we would ask that to be added as a condition to the project. And finally, there is a lack of transparency with respect to the pumping results and the monitoring data that you will be doing as part of your pumping. We would ask that all monitoring and pumping data be provided to an independent consultant by the name of Team Engineering so that the county can continue to update its own hydrology model to verify that the impact to Little Lake will never exceed this 10% level of reduction. With that, again, I appreciate the time and opportunity to speak to you. I have nothing else to say unless there's any questions of the commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 12, Commissioner Noonan.
Again, thank you for indulging me, President Levine, for reopening this item. I apologize again for being tardy to our meeting. I, of course, feel the need for this issue, and so I stand 100% behind it. But I have a few questions in that the $4 million that we are committing for over 3 years, exactly what do those costs go to? Are they for food, water? And I read the contract. Is the information, the database that's going to be created by this third entity, will it be our proprietary information or will they own it? And the reason I ask this, you've known me long enough, that I feel it's very important that the department owns this data and owns the ability to run this in the future. Even though I see the need to invest early on in this emergency crisis center, I also don't want to be held hostage by this third-party entity. And so I understand we don't have the staff to run this, and we require the expertise, but I would hope that we're joining partnerships and really helping them create something that we can run and keep as our own. So I understand the $4 million initial investment. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see, 3 years from now, another request for $4 million to recreate a system that's already been recreated.
What we have here, or what's before you, is for a proposal for emergency base camps. There is no cost outlay. We're not putting a penny out until we would actually activate the need for it. So we have a catastrophic event, earthquake, whatever that might be, that we have to bring in either or utilize our own people that can't get home, or bring in people from other agencies for mutual assistance. That's what the purpose of this would be, to have a housing, food, showers, everything for those individuals. We're not buying the equipment. At that particular point in time, the minute we activate, then that's when we would be liable to have to start paying for the services that are rendered to the department. So with respect to a database, they will have a database of what equipment that they have that we are allowed to inspect on a quarterly basis, to determine that they do have the resources that they can supply us in a time of need.
Well, I think that this item agenda reads very differently. So I read the contract that is being considered with deployed resources, and that we will pay them not to exceed $4 million regardless of an emergency event. And I also read there was one part that concerned me in the contract under 701.1, control of data, and it states that the consultant shall store and process confidential information. And so I think you and I are seeing this very differently, and perhaps anybody else who's involved can provide clarity. But after reading this in detail, it seems that we will be paying deployed resources $4 million, and that they will be in charge of creating not only the tactics, which I think are important, but they will be storing confidential information for DWP. And I want to understand, if they're storing it, do they own it? Do we have access to it? I understand the need to buy food, water, tents, things of those nature. And so my initial question was drawn on the fact that if we're making this initial investment and we renew with them 3 years out, will it cost the same if we are spending all of this money for tents, for water, for food, and for this database that's going to be created?
On the board letter, it says expenses will only be incurred if the services are deployed.
Pat, she's reading from the contract, and I think that's probably the more important source document. If we can't provide immediate information using the contract itself to explain or expand on that, then I want to pull the item, and we need further in-house discussion.
Yeah, we'll review it, go back over it, and get that clarified.
Thank you, and thank you, General Manager. I'm all for this. I think it's very important. At the same token, I just want to make sure that we don't make mistakes that we've made in the past, and that if we are paying this firm to help us develop a strategic emergency database, that we're the proprietary owners of this intelligence.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Newman.
Thank you.
Very helpful. I forgot to call for a vote on item 11. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you, Barbara, for the reminder. Okay, we
So
go.
for item 12, are we deferring?
Yeah, you have to vote for deferral.
Oh, I move to defer item 12. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
It's deferred. Item 15, Commissioner Barad.
Yes.
Lance, CIO.
Matthew Gill, Manager of Customer Technology.
Well, this item 15 is really a top priority, DWP, because it relates to our ratepayers and the customer call system. I've got some questions about, I don't see anything here about our history and our vendor history with e-loyalty. And I wondered if you could give me a little bit of background on this firm and why they're chosen to do this.
Okay. So originally, I started in November 2007, and this solicitation, the RFP had been out, and we were doing final evaluations at that time from the RFP for somebody to implement new call center technology. We had very old technology at that point. We went through a pretty extensive evaluation process, and eLoyalty was selected to install sort of our new, what was then brand new platform that included voice recognition, more sophisticated call recording system, the ability for supervisors to evaluate how our agents were doing, much better information, data on call volumes, call wait times. It included the ability to do the callback feature that we implemented for a time. And so they did and worked with, it was a joint project with IT and customer service to design really from scratch the menu structures, build-in self-service, which had never been there for payments, ability to query certain things without having to go to an agent. That whole structure that you're familiar with was really out of the original contract with eLoyalty. There were three amendments to that contract. A major one was related to all the updates to the integration that was necessary to move the connections from self-service that went to our old systems to the new billing system. And that was really done in a couple different amendments. One was an interim to avoid a lapse in coverage, but the last amendment was approved in December 2011. This Amendment 4, we are at the point now where we are preparing to go out for a vendor selection for what would be the next major re-engineering of the business, what I'd say the business side, how the call flows work, et cetera. So that's another RFP process that we will go out with. And in the interim, we have some things we need to do. And first, one of the first thing we did as we were starting to lay this out and look at where we were and what we needed to do was we had an independent consultant look in and basically say, should we be replacing the basic underlying technology platform? Because we were getting ready to upgrade it for version upgrades, basic equipment refresh. And they came back and said, you don't need to do that. The basic platform, the Cisco platform, is as competitive as anybody else's. It has the full sets of features you need. The issues aren't with the platform. The issues are with sort of the design of call flows, trees, how you're approaching the business side of using that technology. There is then a contract with J.D. Powers to talk about what are some of the best practices that we should be incorporating as we do a redesign of the business side of the system.
and that report came back relatively recently, and those two pieces then give us a basis for doing the next RFP.
Matt, how confident are you that that RFP will be out in October? It's not something that's going to continue to slip.
Given everything we have, I think the reason this contract has the length of time in it is to make sure we have support if we do have some slippage there.
Because historically, we have a tendency to make commitments to issue RFPs, and then 12 months later, we're back with an amendment because we didn't issue the RFP.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand that if we're integrating some certainty into those commitments.
I think we've gotten better at it, and we have better preparation because we've done these two pieces already with the contracts.
In the interim, there's new industry requirements for credit cards that are going to take effect by the end of the year.
Right.
Is that correct?
And that's why you're seeing this amendment
So
right
that's
now.
why we need the amendment.
Right.
Okay.
So there's a few things that customer service wants to do, and one thing we have to do. We have to do the basic platform hardware upgrade in order to be able to continue meeting PCI compliance. There are new requirements that take effect by December. We need to do the platform upgrade to meet some of those requirements. This contract amendment has the money in to allow us to do that amendment.
That's probably a good
work.
stopping point, and we can see if the commissioner has any further questions.
Okay.
All right, then, if certain things you have to do, what is it that you want to do?
You want to talk about?
Yeah, the focus that we're trying to do for the customer service portion is to increase our understanding of the customer with the surveys, which is a key piece so we understand what's happening, feedback. And the other part is to improve the customer experience. So that's standardizing the messaging to the customer up front and to provide additional information to them to ease their navigation through the tree, and so we can get the new RFP out and redesign everything that's needed for there.
Okay, it says here, the amendment will allow eLoyalty to perform the required minimum upgrades. So why is this minimum?
Because we really do want to make sure we do an RFP to get the best person to help us do the next redesign. It may be loyalty, it may not be. But there are some things we need to do in that interim time, and so we've kept this contract really to the minimum. Now, in order to make sure we can meet the PCI requirements, that we can do some of these improvements that we've identified we really need to make right away. But we don't want to have them try to do the whole redesign. It's a bigger project, and we really want that to be competitively selected.
So you have a list of the minimum requirements, the minimum things that you want in this new contract?
Right. And they're basically discussed on page 3 in the breakdown of what we're doing.
Yeah. All right. And we contracted with eLoyalty in 2008 to replace the customer call system, which was considered to be outdated and prone to failure. Would you say that our system is still outdated?
I'm going to answer that from two different perspectives. It needs a hardware refresh. That is, we're still running on the equipment, the hardware we installed in 2008, and we're at its end of life. We need to upgrade the operating system that equipment runs, that system is running on, because it is no longer getting security patches, and if we don't replace it, upgrade it, we will be out of compliance with the credit card industry standards we have to meet. The platform, as if we do the software upgrade, we do the hardware refresh and replace the hardware and basically bring over the programming we have now, we're in okay position, but we really need to redo a lot of that programming, and that's what we want to do as a result of an RFP.
Well, we've had a lot of problems with customer service and the call center. So I would say being in an okay position is not good enough.
I would agree with you, but the solution to that, we believe, is to go back out for a vendor to compete for the redesign and really tell us why they are the best to do it, rather than just say, okay, loyalty, you were the best when we selected you, we're just going to give you this work again.
So you're saying compete with e-loyalty?
I am assuming e-loyalty will want to try to hold on to this business.
But you're looking at other
We will be looking at others.
vendors, because if they were hired in 2008 and we've had these problems, these ongoing problems, it makes me wonder about, are they the right vendor to continue, or do we need to look elsewhere?
We'll go through a competitive process as Matt and his department issues the RFP.
Yeah, and I would hope that you would look beyond the minimum. I mean, I just think that that's...
Well, the RFP will be definitely beyond the minimum. This piece, which is, if you're an RFP here, the process generally takes 12 to 18 months before we would have a new vendor on board to do that reprogramming of the sort of software, the business side of what we do there. This is to get us the hardware underneath it up to current standards and be ready to accept that new level of programming. But this we have to do because of our compliance issues.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I think in the future it would be helpful to have something in a packet about the vendor history, particularly since this is, 7 years that we've been using e-loyalty.
Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion? Second. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's passed. Thank you. We move to item 16 because there were 3 speaker cards on that. So item 16 is contract number 672 for rental of dump trucks with operators with LAC Motor Enterprises, Inc. Barbara, the 3 speaker cards?
Okay, the first speaker is John, LAC.
Good afternoon. I issued the speaker card only in response to, perhaps as it appears, there'll be questions brought to you. So if I could reserve my speaking until I might have to answer some questions, if the board would allow that.
That would be fine.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Scott Heel.
Good morning. I'm here representing L. Curdy Truck and Equipment, the actual low bidder on this contract. And I'm here to urge you not to waste almost $400,000 unnecessarily by awarding this contract as proposed. Curdy's bid was almost $400,000 lower than the second low bidder in actual hard dollars, and in fact about $1.6 million lower when you give effect to the local business preferences designed to keep contract dollars here in Los Angeles. Due to technical issues with the ERSP program, portions of 2 forms that Curdy attempted to upload were not received. Please note that all information that was on those forms, or the missing forms, was included elsewhere in the bid documents, and Curdy furnished a full and complete copy of all of these documents 2 months ago, as soon as it learned of the issue. However, staff disqualified Curdy's bid based on the belief that the municipal code required it to do so. Now, the municipal code does require disqualification, or does require a finding of an incomplete bid where these forms were not completed. However, it does not require this board to avoid waiving minor irregularities, as in this case. This is a common practice in public competitive bidding in order for public agencies to realize the benefits of the low bid. Alternatively, I would suggest that this board could rebid this contract. This could be done with negligible cost to the department. It would involve no disruption in services, since the current existing contract with Curdy contains ample time and dollars remaining during the rebid process. Curdy has provided services to this department for over 50 years. We know this board works extremely hard to ensure that the ratepayers receive maximum benefits from every contract dollar. We urge the board to continue these efforts by waiving minor irregularities here and awarding the contract to Curdy and saving this $400,000. Alternatively, to reject all bids and to rebid the contract to allow the ratepayers to realize these savings and perhaps even additional savings. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Larry Curdy.
Good afternoon, President Levine, members of the board. My name is Larry Curdy. I'm also the husband of Jeanette Curdy, the owner-operator of L. Curdy Truck and Equipment, the lowest bidder on this contract. I'm a lot better truck driver than I am a speaker, so I'm going to try to read the notes that I put down. Some of this is going to be repeated from what you just heard. I've been very familiar with the dump truck contract for several years. I'm here to ask you to delay the award of the as-needed dump truck rental contract number 672 to the second bidder until you have sufficient time to consider asking staff to rebid the contract in support of saving the department and their ratepayers nearly $400,000 or more. You have more than enough time to consider the rebid option, since Curdy Trucking's existing 3-year term contract number 731 start was delayed for several months, not because of their choosing, but because your board voted to extend the previous contract, spec number 966, for an additional year and more than double the amount of the original contract. Purchasing would not allow Curdy to assume the rental contract until February 19th of 2013. Would a rebid assure having the same low bidder? Absolutely not. What it would do is guarantee a savings of your ratepayers for nearly $400,000 or more, since the low bidders' unit prices have been exposed. The 731 contract also has enough money from the previous budgeted contract amount needed to complete the 3-year term. Curdy has never missed submitting a proposal on this particular contract title for over 50 years. I'm very proud of that. I've been aware of every submittal, and many have been divided by pennies, a fraction of what you would save under this contract under the low bid, which is $1.40 an hour to over $5 an hour. I can never recall the truck contract being awarded to anyone other than the low bidder. In the past, the department has awarded this contract to several good trucking firms and to some not so good. It would not, in my judgment, require a lot of research for you to determine that Curdy was one of the good ones. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the third speaker was John, LIC, if you want
Well,
to speak.
let's hear from staff
Okay.
first and see if there are questions for the first speaker.
Morning, Commissioners. Tom Pasloff, Fleet Services.
Lou Feldmeyer, Assistant Director, Supply Chain Services.
Simon Zodu, Supply Chain Services Specifications Office.
The speakers were correct. Curdy did fail to supply required documentation per the municipal code, specifically the CEC 55, the ethics form, was not submitted at the time of bid, which is required. Additionally, they did not provide the subcontracting SBE participation form at the time of bid, which is also required.
They claim that we have all the information that were sought on those two forms. Is that accurate?
What was missing on the CEC 55 form was a signature page. So we have no signature on the ethics form.
And is that disabling? Can that be corrected?
I don't believe there's any other place where that information would be signed.
This is part of the broader issue, sir, where since we do electronic and visible bidding, we have really no means of making these adjustments. And you'll recall we've had challenges with this particular ethics form before, not the lack of signatures, but some other complexities. And so we're forced to follow the same rule structure as opposed to picking and choosing certain vendors that we define that as being ministerial or not. Staff doesn't consider those to be ministerial adjustments.
We have the Office of the Public Accountability Ratepayer Advocate has requested a legal opinion from the city attorney on the ability for ministerial changes related to the CEC 55, and the response is pending.
Which we appreciate.
I called the Ethics Commission when this occurred in a prior matter because, frankly, having nothing to do with this matter whatsoever, it seemed to me that their interpretation was unduly rigid and very unhelpful to the city. Their response was unsatisfactory as far as I was concerned. But based on the past history, this seems like something that that they are unduly rigid about in terms of their interpretation. That's my own personal view.
In light of that, for the Ethics Commission form, Supply Chain Services provides a courtesy service to all bidders that they can submit the form to Supply Chain Services. We do reviews and get back to them. In this case, El Curdy failed to take advantage of that resource that's available to all our bidders. And this information was communicated at the pre-bid meeting. El Curdy did not attend the pre-bid meeting, and as a result, they were not able to use this resource.
So you indicated to them that the form was deficient because of a lack of signature, and they didn't respond by signing it?
No, they did not get back to us. They did not take advantage of the courtesy review process.
Did they provide you with the substantive information requested on the form, and the only thing missing was a signature?
Well, the rules are, this is a mandatory. There were a listing of the principals and subcontractors on the form on pages 1 and 2. But the most important page is the signature page, where they have, under penalty of perjury, they have to execute that form. But that did not happen.
Did they ever indicate to you that they were prepared to provide a signature, but we said it was too late?
No.
It's a requirement of the bid when it's uploaded while they're still sealed. And then in regards to their comment about there's plenty of time and money left in this contract expires October 1st of this year. The funds that are in there are sufficient to carry to the end of the contract, but that probably be depleted at the end. And this is for both the water system, the power system. It's a heavily relied upon contract, and it's critical that, if possible, it's renewed on time.
How often do we run into these types of problems?
We used to have a lot of issues with the City Ethics Commission form, but since we implemented the courtesy review process, non-responsiveness due to a City Ethics Commission form has gone down significantly.
And how does the courtesy review process work?
They can submit a completed form up to 48 hours before the bid due date and time, and we'll do the review and get back to them with feedback on how, if there are any missing parts that need to be completed.
And how do we get back to them? What do we do?
We email it to them. We scan their form and we get back to them, and they actually send us the completed form again for a second review, and we tell them everything looks good. Everyone who has participated on as part of that process has submitted, completed, and passing City Ethics Commission forms.
This was our Band-Aid solution to the fact that we were not successful in getting the form clarified. It is, I will admit, a bit bureaucratic, but it was done in the customer's best interest in an effort to try to solve a problem.
No, I think we're doing what we're doing the best we can under the circumstances of a very defective system. but it's not a very satisfying process.
May I, President? And mind you, I do take all of the correspondence that arrives to our board very seriously. And so I'm just stating something that has been alleged by Scott Hale, who spoke earlier today. In defense of his client, he states, and this concerns me if this is accurate, he states, due to difficulties utilizing the department's electronic request solicit procure, ERSP, online purchasing system, portions of 2 forms were inadvertently not uploaded as part of Curdy's bid, despite 2 ERSP confirmations, which led Curdy to believe that its bid package was complete. And so I go back to maybe a year, 2 years ago. It was Commissioner Fleming's suggestion that the procurement process really take a more modern, advanced way of being, and that just the same way that you check out of Amazon, they confirm that everything's complete. And I think that the department has made steps towards that. I don't know if they have, but if what he's alleging is true, then this is troubling to me. If, in fact, this entity was given confirmation that their package was complete.
I think it was received, not complete. We received the information.
Right, because what the system can't do is confirm that the signature was there.
Got it.
Yeah, the system doesn't know what people upload. In this particular case, the document that was uploaded by Curdy was the wrong one.
So when our system says that it's complete, it just means it's received.
Correct.
Is that so? We're using the word complete to mean received. Is that right?
Correct.
And documents were uploaded.
I think it's very important that legal language be changed.
I would agree. It should not say complete if it means received.
Received.
Very misleading.
Yeah.
The other thing I would just comment is it's important, given the amount of money that moves through contracts, not this one in particular, but similar contracts, is that the lines be bright lines. Because to the extent that we don't, while we're reforming the system, because your observation, Commissioner, remains perfectly valid, it is important when we're out in that electronic venue to not start to figure out where are the slippery slopes in terms of approval. I can promise you there are thousands of bidders who believe that they too should have been selected for a variety of reasons, and it gets to be a very complex issue.
But for the signature page snafu, where would these folks have stood in this process?
One other observation, frequently bids come in without the signature because they're trying to leave the liability aspect of ethical compliance open. It's why staff has become very strict, as well as it being a system requirement, to ensure that that signature comes appended to the document.
But yeah, so but for that.
Apart from the City Ethics Commission forum, there was a 15% small business participation, mandatory participation requirement on this bid. L. Curry did not submit any documentation to that provision or requirement. So in addition to the City Ethics Commission forum, they were deemed non-responsive due to failure to submit the small business mandatory participation forms.
So therefore, would they have been selected, or would they not have been selected had they submitted the signature?
They wouldn't have been selected. They were deemed non-responsive on 2 counts.
Okay, that's very relevant.
Yeah, thank you.
Excuse me.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
Did the other speaker want to speak out there, John?
You wish to speak, or you do not wish to?
Yes.
Come.
Thank you for hearing me. This is the second time the ERSP system has been working. It worked for L. Curdy 3 years ago, had no problem, which awarded him. It worked fine for us. We signed, everything went through, we were complete. So.
We understand.
Thank you.
Is there a motion? Second?
I wanted-
Those in favor? What, Jill, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say for the record that I think that we ought to make this requirement that they change the terminology from complete to received. Make sure that that happens.
Yeah, I appreciate that and agree with that. And I'm not quite sure how we deal with this signature page issue. I think the way we're dealing with it is inadequate. Had you not responded to Commissioner Fleming's question the way you did, I was going to vote no. You changed my vote. I'm going to vote yes, because the losing bid failed for another reason. But I don't believe people just don't sign to avoid liability. I think given the nature of the form, and even with your follow-up call, it's very easy to understand mistakes. And we need a better system in terms of dealing with that. And I don't know what it should be, but I'm very dissatisfied with the current process.
I think, sir, if you don't mind, when Ms. Williams returns, she's on an out-of-town trip, that we put together a presentation on what our external limitations versus internal, what's her plan to be able to remediate that, if you would.
Good.
That would be helpful.
I would really, really appreciate that. And since we deferred item 12, I would love for her to elaborate as to why we got 47 inquiries to this bid and only one response. And the two commentaries that I received did not satiate me at all. So if she could elaborate on how 47 entities could express interest and state that the procurement process was too lengthy, too tedious. It didn't say unfair, but I kind of deciphered that. I really think that this would be a case standpoint for us to learn from.
And then, and just also to address the specifics about the language. So it's nice to have a full presentation, but what mechanics would it take? How fast could we do it to change the words received and complete?
Yeah.
So even something that small, I think, could make an enormous difference.
So there seems to be a modicum of dissatisfaction among your Board of Commissioners on this process.
There's a modicum of dissatisfaction from the purchasing manager as well. And I actually think she would appreciate the opportunity to show where those constraints lie and solicit the support of the board potentially in helping to get those changed.
Good. Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's passed.
Thank you.
Okay, we move to the regular agenda, and we have deferred item 19. So we go to item 20, amendment number 2 to agreement number 472014 with Oracle America, Inc. Who's presenting this item?
I will be. Did you have to read it?
No, go ahead. I'll do it again.
This item is being brought to you today to amend the agreement with Oracle for $12.6 million, which has been budgeted for system operation improvements and stabilization to the customer information system. As you know, we've been utilizing Oracle to help us remediate a number of the issues that we had with the conversion to the CIS system. We've done a lot of work to date, and we still have more remediation left to go. Last fall, staff issued an RFP for new vendors to come in and provide some of those support services. We've done the evaluation of the bids, we've interviewed all of the bidders, and we're in the process right now of discussing terms and conditions and prices with those bidders to move forward with a new term. However, that's not expected to be completed until fall of this year, and that's anticipating no challenges with some of those bidders coming back with terms and conditions and prices that we may need to discuss some more. So this request is for an amendment to extend the current agreement to allow that further remediation to occur. That remediation will look at some of the data issues related to day-to-day operations, enhancements and improvements of customer service and the continued system stabilization. The funding is in there, in the report, allocated between several different items that continue those different areas. We've also listed a number of the items that Oracle has already provided that assistance for to improve. And just so you know, the last half of the year, Oracle has been focused on everything related to billing accurately and on time, reducing the arrears, implementing the write-off process portion of the system, and reducing the customer service peak wait times. There are a number of additional items, again, all remediation related, that they will be working on so that we can get this system up and running as it was anticipated to be when first brought on board. At that point, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sir, if I could offer a point of clarification that I think is very important. It's very difficult sometimes from the standpoint of a ratepayer to understand the complexities and the allocations of these dollars, particularly in the information technology arena. So let me be clear. Oracle was brought in to help us fix things. They were not part of the original integration team. They were not part of the problem. They're here to help remediate. And in our lawsuit against PricewaterhouseCoopers on the rollout of this system, we plan to pursue 100% reimbursement of remediation costs.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. I just want to make a brief comment. These numbers are large and clearly raise questions, but in light of the huge scope of the remediation, I believe it's very important to proceed along these lines. Do other commissioners have comments or questions?
I completely agree, and I just want to acknowledge and appreciate our general manager's stance in that when we partner with an outside entity and we are investing millions of dollars on behalf of our ratepayers and they ill-perform or perform in a fraudulent manner, I really, really think that, it's our responsibility to represent Angelenos to really tackle these issues on, and in parallel, try and bring in an entity to correct the mistakes that were made. So I applaud you for that.
Other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
Commissioner.
Oh, yes. Dr. Pickle.
We support moving ahead expeditiously on this because time is of the essence for the remediation. Before the RFP comes out, we'd like to see a long-term plan for the systems and organizational structure to discuss or to be there for overall project management.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you. Item 21, authorization to issue up to $300 million of Power System Bonds, 2015 Series B, under Resolution Numbers 4896 and 4897 to fund the rollover of Power System Revenue Bonds, 2012 Series C, 3-year note.
Yeah, item 21 requests approval to issue $300 million of Power System Revenue Bonds, and they will be used to roll over or refinance the 2012 bonds. When the department issued the 2012 bonds, they did so as part of a short-term borrowing program for diversification purposes and take advantage of low interest rates. The proposed rollover for another 3 years allows the power system to continue the program and realize the benefits it initially intended with this bond offering. Through the rollover refinancing, the power system will avoid interest costs and save approximately $637,000 annually over the next 3 years compared to issuing the bonds at a long-term fixed rate. And we request the approval of this item.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
I did have one question, actually, and this is more to be addressed maybe at the next time we do one of these. I'm fine with this, but I know it costs more to borrow money over the long term, but interest rates are historically low over the long term too. So and I've seen that our blend of financing, yield curves, et cetera, have we're weighted as much as I think we can for diversification purposes toward the long term, but I'm not sure when the interest rates are going to be much lower. So
we continue to monitor that, and we will be going forward with a long-term bond offering probably in the winter for the power system, and those will be long-term fixed-rate bonds.
Thanks.
Questions from others? Motion?
I'll move.
Second. Those in favor? Aye. It's approved. Thank you. We move to item 22, authorization to enter into a lease and management agreement with the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator for the La Kretz Innovation Campus. Ms. Sutley.
Sir, if we could request 22 and 23 be taken together.
Okay, the request will be granted. Participation agreement for design and build services as a Southern California Public Power Authority with Cinnabar California, Inc.
Thank you. Just happy to report that the construction on the La Kretz Innovation Campus is 96% complete. And I know that we've been in front of this board and my predecessors on a number of occasions around the La Kretz Innovation Campus. This should be the last time we come to you before the building is occupied, and we don't anticipate or intend to come back to the board requesting anything else. So these are the last two items. One is the lease with the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, the business terms of which have been previously approved through an MOU with the CRA when it was still in existence in 2010. A couple of things I wanted to note on that is that Lacey will be responsible for the management of the building. We did actually go out to bid on that and looked at a number of other options, and this was the most effective and efficient way to handle that. Second is that in the business terms, we have, in the relationship with Lacey, we will get a first look at companies that are in the incubator, which will help us get access to that technology, and we will keep the board informed of what we learn from those first looks. I know there's interest in that. And the second, so that's the first item. The second item is actually for the LADWP space. Part of it is to be a customer engagement laboratory. This is to support that, the demonstration and exhibits to allow us to interact with our customers so they can see the technologies that are being developed, as well as learn about our programs and our rebates. So with that, I'll just answer any questions if there are any.
Are there questions? Are there
not as much a question, but a comment filed under the even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Who are you referring to?
Oh, I'm me in this case. I mean, I know that Nancy and I have talked about this, and she really does hope, for both of our sakes, that this is the last time this comes forward before us. So I will join in that fond desire that this never comes back before us again. But this is a great example of a legacy project that did not belong here, that belongs somewhere else, and how I wish that it had gone somewhere else. I wish it all the best success, and hope we never have to discuss this one again, for a whole host of reasons.
Any other comments? Is there a motion to approve items 22 and 23?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor? Aye. They're both approved.
Thank you.
There's one no there, by the way.
Oh, there was?
That was in favor was an aye. Then.
Oh, I apologize. I just thought I heard everybody say aye. 4-1. You were the no, I take it?
I am the no.
Dr. Fleming?
Thank you.
Item 24, agreement number 47347-6 with GC Services Limited Partnership for Supplemental Customer Contact Center.
I'll be handling this one as well. This is for the supplemental call center that would be utilizing the event of an emergency should a disaster occur and our call centers become unavailable. We'll be able to utilize this contract to obtain services from a remote call center that will be able to handle those phone calls and then get the information to us in a manner that we can go repair the system. There'll also be a component of this where if the call center gets so inundated that we basically can't take calls in a manner to respond to customers, that we can also enact the supplemental call center and have them answering the phone calls of the customers. There's a second part in the background of this as well, in that we're looking at a second call center within the LA basin And so we'll be looking at both of those to enhance our ability to handle any sort of disaster that might occur in the area and be able to still respond to customers when they call. So we'd be looking at 2 in the basin, 1 outside the basin to handle those customer calls. The budget is $10 million. However, the amount anticipated to set up the agreement is about 10% of that, and then we won't have additional charges unless we go ahead and have that call center enabled so that we can answer additional calls. The reason there is that additional 10% investment is we've got to train the customer reps, the contracted customer service reps, vendor staff, and get the setup expenses all there so that we can handle the phone calls in a timely manner, and then they know our system and know how we're set up. So this has been a very important part of looking at handling all the customer phone calls that we might get during the time of the most need, and this has been ready to come now to the board, so we'd request your approval.
Thank you. Questions?
I will be perfectly honest. I'm very, very religious. I feel it's my responsibility to review the documents that arrive to my home typically on a Friday afternoon, despite as busy as the weekend may be. As you're aware, when this main package arrived, there was no information on number 24, which was provided later, and I have not been able to review it in detail like I have the other items. So that being said, I have some blanket questions, and I apologize if they're redundant for the other commissioners who may have had the time to read item 24. But if you could just spell out exactly, are you planning on hiring additional staff for this emergency center? And is it going to be located outside of Los Angeles? I mean, logistically, can you walk me through it? And if they're not needed on an emergency basis, then what will they be doing with their time?
Okay. This is a vendor that provides those type of services for a number of different agencies.
So we're outsourcing this?
We're outsourcing.
In essence, yes. The people are getting, there's a lot of crossover between the creation of a backup call center where we basically split our functionality between 2 locales to be able to provide some geographic space for emergencies versus a supplemental call center contract, which is actually a separately owned call center outside of the LA region that we would be contracting with under certain conditions. This is that supplemental call center piece. It frankly is a pilot. No one is really able to project the utilization, the timing, the circumstance. So in essence, that's what we're going to work through. We're going to see what our call volumes are, what are the triggers to cause us to utilize that center, what kind of training do they need, what kind of calls potentially can they handle. It is interwoven with agreements with the bargaining unit about staffing because it's quite a step for them to allow this kind of outsourcing of what is typically bargaining unit work. So they want to make sure we continue to at least staff for the core workload if we are going to contract out the peaks. So it truly is a pilot to see how we can best use this supplemental call center for call volume management purposes.
And is this what other utilities are doing nationally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did this in Anaheim, almost exactly like this.
Okay. I think, of course, I'm going to vote yes, but I think that in the future it would be interesting to just have some references as to other utilities that are also spending, these kind of dollars to ensure that during an emergency crisis that the ratepayers are taken care of.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Pickle?
We think it's important to get this into place, and we think the design where this is a way of testing how these sorts of centers work is appropriate. We're worried about future conflicts with regard to what constitutes too long of a backlog on timing and whether the staffing is core or peak, but we hope that will be positively resolved. The test we proposed for what's adequate call times was a period of 4 hours where call center wait times were longer than 10 minutes. We would support it, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just as an observation by the board, that might end up being the perfect metric. in the pilot program, I don't yet know. We're still staffing up, we're still training, but we keep all of the recommendations from the RPA in mind, and as we look forward, we'll be establishing those levels.
As we should. Thank you. Other questions or comments on this item? Is there a motion?
I do have a speaker card.
Oh, I'm sorry. Speaker card?
But Mr. Cole, did you wish to speak?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just available in case they have questions about GC services and who we work for.
Thanks. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody against? It's passed. I couldn't resist. Okay, filed items. 25A water system for April.
I have no additional comments unless there's any questions from the board.
Questions for Dr. Adams?
I have a question.
Commissioner Broad?
I see that our water consumption we're doing very well. And so how does that relate to the report from our last meeting that we're thinking about going to another level in restriction?
So thank you for asking about that. We don't have the final numbers on July yet. We'll get our MWD numbers in the next couple days. But the preliminary look is that we're well within the amount of water that was allotted to the city in July. So even if we have a little bit of change in the supply numbers from MWD, we'll be okay. And so based on the action that the board took at the last meeting, we'll be writing a kind of report card to the mayor recommending that we continue at the existing stage of the ordinance. And then we'll see how we do in August. We did note that in just the last part of July, when it got warm, demands had quite an uptick right away, but we think we'll carry a balance, a positive balance going into August. And we're just going to play it month by month at this point, but so far we're doing really well.
The reports are that people are really conserving water.
We really are. We did well in June. We were right on the razor's edge. July, it looks like the preliminary report is we used about 94% of the water that was available. So we'll probably end up between 94 and 96%. So but even then, you talk about the amount of water. There's only a few thousand acre feet of water that's to spare. So one of the things we did was we've put actually extra field crews out at night because when we have leaks, all water that goes into the system is counted against us, no matter what it gets used for. So we're making sure that we're getting on top of water leaks, that we shut them off as fast as possible so we're not losing water in that way. So we're tightening up every way we can, plus the citizens are responding very well.
Any projections for August?
August has about the same amount of water available as July does. It really is so weather dependent because remember, we're comparing to the same month in 2013. So I don't recall offhand what August in 2013 looked like, but if it's hot and dry, it'll be a challenge because that's what we're reducing from. And again, if we've been fortunate we haven't had any major fires in the area, but a major fire in our hills, we'll have to look at how. And I don't know how the state's going to address that in communities where they're having that problem now. But those things would all become challenges. So it's really that's why trying to carry this running balance is important because it's really going to happen. I think over the course of the year, you're going to see the total reduction. It's going to bounce around some, I think, for everybody.
Thank you. Any other questions on Marty's report? Hearing none. Administrative Services Monthly Report, July 2015.
Yes, you'll see our new report in your packet, which will go over what's happening in administrative services, and you'll see the layout has Joint Services Division. There's a number of items in there. The Human Resources Division, Information Technology Division, and under Information Technology, there's some items highlighted, but I did include in that section everything that's being worked on because I think it's important to see how many IT programs and areas that we're looking at maintaining and investigating. And then a Customer Service Division section, and today I'll highlight the portion from the Customer Service Division as part of the accounts receivable update for the Customer Service Division. So as you remember, we bill about $5.6 million a year for all services. As of the end of July, the accounts receivable has gone down again, and it's about 4% of annual billings compared to our goal of 2.7%. That's over 60 days amount is down by $135 million since January 2015. So collections continues to work. We're lowering those collection levels really to the pre-go-live level. You know that commercial has been at 250 and 19 days for a number of months, but residential is being brought down. It's now at $250 in 60 days, and those amounts are when we're sending out the collection notices and going through the process of letting customers know that they need to either come in and pay or set up payment arrangements, or we're going to have to disconnect service. In less than 6 months, that's gone down from $1,000 in 60 days. So that really shows that these efforts are working and moving forward, continue to work. So I talked about payment plans. Most customers do repay their outstanding balances through payment plans. As of the end of July, we had 59,000 customers on payment plans, a little under 4%. More than 24,000 have completed successfully those payment plans in the last 3 months. And if we do have customers that have problem with the initial plans, we do work with them to ensure that they set up payment arrangements that they can maintain. Again, results to date, looking at over 90 days, which is that area which we first looked at, those have gone down from $300 million in January to $184 million, so a 39% reduction. And we anticipate those over 90 days getting to the $150 million benchmark by December 2015, and over 60 days by March of 2016. For those that would rather look at this graphically, this shows the high in January, and it shows it coming down, actuals through end of July, and then the projected from August 15th through March 2016, which is when we anticipate reaching our benchmark of $150 million. These are active accounts where people are still obtaining service from the department. This next one is inactive accounts. That's customers who have terminated service and moved on. As you know, we normally turn these over to collection agency, but part of the system conversion presented some challenges in this. So this represents a cumulative 2 years worth of those accounts. But we are about to re-implement that part of the system, and we'll send them a notice trying to have them repay us, and then if not, they will go to collections. Our goal is to have $50 million at any given time in inactive accounts that we're pursuing collections with. These are the corrective action goals. Continue to meet our KPIs, or key performance indicators, at acceptable levels. Get those critical items fixed, which should occur by fall or winter. Those are the items which really cause us billing and collection issues. Keep up with these collection efforts. Keep up monitoring the pay plans. Work on those inactive account collections. And then I like to put this up each time. Write-off, still can't determine exactly what it's going to be, but when we look at a range, that write-off amount is not going to have an impact on customers' bills to any level other than 10 to 20 cents a month, based on what we anticipate the range to be. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Do want to leave, that's the number. Any customer can call us if they have any issues or questions on their bill.
I do want to advise you that this basic presentation will be made in front of the E&E committee, I believe, tomorrow.
Yes.
Good. Well, I hope they respond the way I do, which is congratulations. You're doing a great job in a highly unenviable task.
Staff is doing a great job.
Questions? Thank you very much. Power system report for June.
No additional comments on items 3 or 4, but happy to answer any of your questions.
Questions?
I did have a comment. I met with some people who were directly involved in the utility pre-craft training program while I was in between board meetings, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the efforts of the power system. I want to applaud that work, by the way, that the power system is doing to deliver clean, reliable power, and also carry out, when it can, economic equity goals as well, because of the importance of including and aggressively pursuing people for this employment gap that we are looking at for the next 5 or so years and filling that workforce. I think that that program or something like that could be very helpful. So thank you, and I look forward to hearing more about that.
We'll bring it back to you.
At some point, it would probably be useful to have a report on the implications of the President's comments yesterday for what we're doing with regard to energy and power.
We will include that in a future update and as part of our 10-minute briefings we plan for the board.
Good.
From a short story perspective, sir? Just
What?
From a short story perspective, for the viewing audience as well, the recommended EPA or the final EPA regulations now, the advantage being in California is that California is already far in front of all of those goals. And so at this juncture, we don't see any problems in complying.
That's good news. It's good for us to be in the lead. Reports for informational purposes, quarterly status report on water quality regulatory compliance projects, fourth quarter.
Only if there's any questions, nothing in particular to add. All the projects are moving ahead as planned.
Good.
Sir, if I could request your indulgence, I'm going to have to leave the meeting early today. Could we swap A and B around so I could be here for the power infrastructure presentation?
No, we can't do that.
Sorry.
Power infrastructure report, 26B.
Good afternoon. I'm Andrew Kindle, Interim Director, Power System Construction, Maintenance, and Operations. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come today and present an update on the contracts that you previously approved this year and last year. So just a brief system overview of the department system. For our overhead distribution line, we have approximately 6,800 miles of cable of overhead distribution, 3,600 miles of underground distribution, approximately 309,000 poles, and 43,600 substructures. On our overhead poles, the average lifespan of a pole is approximately 60 years. And currently, we have more than 90,000 poles between 60 and 100 years old. Between last year and this year, you approved 3 new contracts and renewals to the Contract 337 with Osmos for Sea Truss. Contract 531, which is the underground cable replacement contract, which started on 10/9 of 2014 as an update. They are doing very well. They have replaced 36.7 miles to date. This process this contract itself is running relatively smoothly. Contract 532, which is with the Edison Power Contractors, which is the newest of the 3 contracts that you have approved, and that one came with some issues in the implementation. They are approximately 4 months into this contract, establishing a good work pattern with some growing pains, which is kind of typical for a new contract coming into our system. Our system is much different from some of the other utilities that they do work for. So currently, to date, they have replaced 97 poles. This group, the contract ops group, is managed by our contract operations team, which is made up of 3 district superintendents and 10 supervisory inspectors. Their obligation, what they do on a daily basis, is go out and interact with the crews. These are time and equipment contracts. They verify that the equipment and that the personnel that the contractor is charging us each day is there on the job. They verify this. They also monitor the job as it's being produced to make sure that it is built to our standards. When these jobs are completed and turned in, if there are issues, then the contractor goes back on their own time to make the corrections. We don't pay for those corrections. We stress the importance of monitoring these jobs to make sure they're built the first time, because even if we're not paying, this is still work they're not doing to upgrade our system. So they're very conscientious in this effort.
Andy, do you set benchmarks within the contract itself that you expect them to have this much cable pulled or these many poles changed out, and by when?
We do have a yearly goal for the contractors. On the overhead, the underground exceeded that contract, was 29 miles for this first year, and they exceeded that contract. The overhead, the goals are about 860 poles. They are having issues. It's typical right now within the overhead replacement. Every utility right now is out with contracts to replace poles. We're all under the same having the same issues.
I think what's helpful when you report this is to show what our goals are, and then the commission is interested in understanding where we're ahead, where we're behind, and the reasons. I mean, the fact that everyone's out to replace poles is a valid reason why there might be delays in a contract. You'll recall these are multi-million-dollar contracts, and the interests of the commission were to ensure we were monitoring them in a way that we were not only getting value, but that the contractors were completing what they had agreed to do. So I'm just trying to find a way we can report on that.
Yeah, I have that information.
Okay, sorry. Excuse my interruption.
No, that's fine. So for the Edison Power contractors, their contract allows for 12 four-man crews. Currently, they're able to staff with 7 four-man crews, which is approximately 65%. The contract 5440 R1 with Petrelli is in the same place. Right now, they allow for 12 crews. They're fully only able to keep consistent staffing at 7 four-man crews. It typically, in order to staff this a 50-person contract, typically a contractor will run through anywhere between 200 and 300 employees to have that core staffing, because employees get fired from one utility for various reasons. And then they come to a new utility to work, or a new contractor to work, and they work for a week or two, and they realize that their skills aren't up to par, and they're terminated.
So if these contractors fall short of their goals, what happens?
If ultimately they fall short of their goals and they're deemed non-compliant, and then we process through the steps of informing of that, giving them warnings to that they need to start to meet the goals, and at some point the contracts are terminated. We're with Edison. We did have issues, and we have given them one warning initially that they were not being cooperative. They were trying to do things that didn't meet within our system, and they haven't since changed and are starting to be more compliant and starting to be more productive. Okay. We do compare them with our crews working as well to see the cost. And with these crews being new, we look at from month 1 to month 6 to month 12. Not only is their production, the poles being replaced go up, but also that the cost of their work, the poles, comes down. And we're seeing that from month to month with both of those contracts. The cost of the pole is coming down to where they are pretty close to in line with where we've been. And the last contract, 337, was Osmos. As you recall, we came to you in February this year asking for additional money to fund inspections with Osmos, the pole inspections. You guys approved that contract. We were able to, through that additional funds, accomplish 40,000 intrusive pole inspections. This contract is in the 3rd year. They're approximately 9 months in to the 3rd year of this contract.
Is that 40,000 since 2012 or
that
since
is,
the extension?
The inspections were just this year. They had gaps between previous contracts and had the ability to put an immense amount of resources towards this. Okay. And so 1,355 pole trusses is from the start of the contract. On the contrast, the LADWP crews, This is our in-house makeup of our overhead and underground crews within our operating districts. Total crews of 149. This is our work status, work that we have under construction, work ready to be scheduled and pre-scheduled. These are some of the special projects that were ongoing right now throughout the system. Our new 230 kV line upgrade, various MTA projects throughout the city. There's a new conversion for 6th Street Bridge and also our Beacon Solar project. These are in addition to the core system work, upgrades, new business work that we do. Our in-house crews typically in a year do about 690,000 man-hours of work. Our engineering team will design about 720,000 a year. So doesn't take into account the 46,000 fix-it tickets we've discussed in the past.
I think before you leave that, it's worth underscoring the need to continue to do internal hiring for our own crews as well as contracts. When you look at over what almost 3 million in labor hours is still to be scheduled. And so it's a good indicator of where we are workload and staffing-wise in that area of the business.
Correct. And with that, I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. No, I agree with our general manager in that I recall that the last item that was brought relating to this issue requested several $1 million, and the time frame was so short that I really I was suspect as to how you were going to accomplish getting all of these polls done in such a short time frame. But what I do appreciate is I really do appreciate your time, the department's time, and really keeping us apprised of the progress, because even before this presentation, we have received memos about the progress. And so it makes me feel better about my vote, stating that, we will afford these millions of dollars to get this done. And I'm just pleased that you got it done. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that Commissioner Noonan speaks for the entire board when she said that.
Thank you.
I did have a question, Madam General Manager, about, this is related to more infrastructure replacement and not upgrades, right? Is that?
Typically when you are replacing it, it almost always is an upgrade. I'm not sure if that's a technical delineation. Andy, can you answer that better than I can?
It's upgrades are part of the infrastructure. I mean, there's a difference between system improvements, whether we upgrade a system for loading as opposed to replacing cables or poles because they've reached their end of life. The work is sort of the same, sort of just we're upgrading it in some cases due to loading, additional need. So it's the same crews performing the work. Some due to construction, conversions where there's street widenings for a new business, or a new development will require it, so then we'll have an overhead or underground conversion, that type of work.
And along those lines, I think one of my first commission meetings, there was a big underground conversion, and it was before you came on the commission, Marcy, but I don't know if you were here. I know Mike was here. But there was a very significant, 20, 30, 40 miles where we were burying cable. And my concern there that I just would like to get a report on in October, I've already asked for one in September for something else, but in October, is I'd like to know where the cable's being buried. It makes the areas much more hospitable for businesses, and it adds value to those areas. And again, I'm just going to bring up the theme of economic equity. I want to know what zip codes it's being done in, because I did notice that those upgrades that we were doing before, enormous amounts of money, at 10 times the cost of stringing wires, were going into very affluent zip codes. And so I want to make sure that at least we have some sense as to where the money's going and where it's being spent and where the upgrades are being done. So
we'll do a report on the undergrounding program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we go back up to 26A Stormwater Capture Master Project.
We have a brief presentation. Dave Pettyjohn, who directs our Water Resources Division, and Andy Nicknass will give you a presentation about our Stormwater Capture Master Plan, and this is a critical part of our future water supply scenario for local water supplies. So this is a good news message here.
Thank you. Andy is our manager of our watershed management group, and Andy is responsible for the development and implementation of the Stormwater Capture Master Plan that we'll be presenting to you today. Our partners that you can see on the slide were Tree People, and I believe Andy Lipkis is here today. LA Sanitation, the Metropolitan Water District, who funded 50% of the development of the master plan. LA County Flood Control District, and our consultant Geosyntec. The master plan is one of the approaches that we're using as part of our effort to achieve the city's goals to reduce its dependence on purchased imported water in response to the Mayor's Executive Directive number 5 and also the Mayor's Sustainability Plan. It's important to note that we're not seeking approvals for projects contained in the master plan today. The projects contained in the plan will be coming to your board on a project-by-project basis, individually for your review and approval at a later date. This chart tells the story of stormwater capture in Los Angeles dating back to the late 1960s. And shows that through centralized means, we've captured and infiltrated over 1.2 million acre-feet of water over the past 50 years, and that cumulative line is the red line on this graph. However, precipitation does come in waves in the city, and therefore the key to stormwater capture is having adequate capture capacity to take advantage of these peaks. As our built capture capacity increases, our ability to capture and beneficially use stormwater also increases. You can imagine if rainfall were constant and evenly distributed throughout the year, then a relatively modest capture capacity for stormwater would be sufficient. But in the city, we see these huge storms that come through. In fact, 80% of the annual precipitation in Los Angeles occurs in only 9 to 15 days. So to effectively capture stormwater in the city, we must continue to increase our capture capacity. And that is the goal that the Stormwater Capture Master Plan is designed to accomplish. In simple terms, the Stormwater Capture Master Plan is the roadmap that will guide implementation of LADWP's stormwater program over the next 20 years. The plan's contents include identification of the potential for stormwater as a local water resource, development of a portfolio of potential projects, programs, and policies for possible implementation, prioritization of projects based on water supply benefits to the city, an economic analysis methodology to allow each project's costs and benefits to be compared to the alternative of purchased imported water, near-term and long-term project development milestones, and finally identification of potential project partners. This slide shows where we are right now and the bookends of where we can go with stormwater capture on a conservative and an aggressive approach to implementation over the next 20 years. So on the left, you see our current baseline of stormwater capture from centralized projects in the dark blue and incidental recharge plus our distributed projects in the dark green. So right now, during an average rainfall year, the city captures about 64,000 acre-feet of stormwater. The Stormwater Capture Master Plan contains a pathway forward, in effect, to either double or triple that amount of stormwater capture capacity as shown in the middle on the right-hand graphic. The light blue are the centralized projects, and the light green are the distributed capture projects. So, in effect, pretty much an even split between centralized and distributed capture programs going forward, and a doubling or a tripling of our built capture capacity. As was pointed out by your board at a previous meeting, stormwater projects do have multiple benefits, and some of which are shown on this slide. So while the water supply benefits will be the basis for our staff recommendations to your board, there are multiple benefits inherent in most, if not all, stormwater capture projects. One benefit that we did attempt to quantify and model in the plan were the water quality benefits to local rivers and streams. But the other benefits shown here were not specifically modeled, but we are going to attempt to quantify them on a case-by-case basis as individual projects come to your board for approval. Shown here is a flow chart depicting the process we use to choose and prioritize the projects, programs, and policies contained in the plan. The outcome of this process was a listing of 40 prioritized centralized capture projects and various distributed capture programs. To accomplish this, we looked at a number of different factors like soil characteristics, land use, water rights, potential capture volume, economic value, which I'll discuss in the next couple of slides, and potential for partnerships and grant funding. This slide shows the range of cost per acre foot of water for the various types of projects and programs identified in the Stormwater Capture Master Plan, from the most expensive type of projects at the top, and these are the on-site direct use projects like rain barrels and cisterns, to the least expensive projects on the bottom, and these are the large centralized capture projects like Hanson Spreading Ground Improvement Project, which I'll show you in a later slide. The vertical black line in each of these blue bars is the median cost for each of these projects. So you can see there's a pretty wide range of project costs that can far exceed our costs for imported water from the Metropolitan Water District. So the takeaway here is that in general, stormwater projects require LADWP to find funding partners to bear a share of the cost and find grant funding to reduce the project's cost. So we are looking for projects where LADWP's cost share will be on the order of $1,100 to $1,500 per acre foot, which I'll show on the next slide. But as you can see from this slide, there are projects that we can do on our own, but the vast majority of the projects are going to require us to find funding partners. This slide summarizes the master plan's analysis of the value of local stormwater capture based on the avoided cost of MWD purchase water, plus the value of having local supplies as opposed to importing supplies from hundreds of miles away. From this analysis, if a project is recharging our aquifer with stormwater, we determined that the net present value of that water is about $1,100 an acre foot. And what this means is that LADWP can justify contributing up to $1,100 an acre foot for a stormwater capture project that does recharge. The higher $1,550 per acre foot value is for stormwater projects that offset potable uses. The reason for the higher value is that potable water is treated and therefore has a higher value than untreated water. So based on these two values, we'll be bringing back to your board on a project-by-project basis a complete financial analysis of each project, program, and policy that you can consider for approval. And this is going to be similar to what we've been doing in the past on stormwater projects that your board has already approved in the past. And this financial analysis of each project will also be provided to the ratepayer advocate prior to the project coming to your board for approval. So these next two slides are a couple of examples. So what you see here is a centralized stormwater capture project. It's the Hanson Spreading Grounds project, which widened, deepened, and combined 20 existing spreading basins into six larger basins, and replaced a radial gate with a new rubber dam diversion system into the basins, and added telemetry for remote control operations. So the project was a partnership, again, with the LA County Flood Control District, and as a result, storage capacity in this spreading basin increased from 279 acre feet to 1,460 acre feet. And the net effect of that increase was an average year stormwater capture and recharge increase from 13,900 acre feet up to 16,000 acre feet. This is an example of a distributed project, and one that I believe Commissioner Funderburk, you recently visited this project. Mm-hmm. It's the Woodman Avenue Stormwater Capture Project, and it was recently approved by your board, and we completed it this last year. This is a multi-beneficial stormwater capture project consisting of pretreatment devices, a vegetated swale, which you see here, and an underground retention system for infiltration. The project was a partnership, again, with LA Sanitation, the LA Bureau of Street Services, and our partnering non-governmental organization, the River Project. So in addition to those partnerships, we were able to achieve a total of $1,650,000 of project funding from a Prop 50 grant that we were awarded. And the project does have multiple benefits, including groundwater recharge of 55 acre feet per year, improved water quality in the LA River, reduced local flooding, improved pedestrian access near a local school, enhanced open space, and improved neighborhood aesthetics. So the next step...
Excuse me, yes. David, could you just go back to that slide really quickly, please?
Certainly. This slide, Commissioner?
No, that I know that was part of a package that we had. I just wanted to look at that. Thank you.
You're welcome. So in closing, the Stormwater Capture Master Plan is now complete, and a copy can be downloaded by the public at the website shown at the bottom of this slide, and that's ladwp.com/stormwater. And the next step is pretty simple. We're going to start bringing to your board for approval and implementation the individual projects, programs, and policies that are identified in the Stormwater Capture Master Plan. Finally, I'd like to report that LADWP did receive national recognition for this Stormwater Capture Master Plan. The American Academy of Environmental Engineers and Scientists awarded the Master Plan with their 2015 Grand Prize for Excellence in Environmental Engineering and Science. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Questions? Comments?
I wanted to
applause.
Marty wants to show off his trophy.
I want to congratulate. I want to congratulate you, David, for the work that you guys have done. And I've always been interested in this for a lot of reasons, and I've always thought that maybe the Manhattan Project is an overstatement, but I'm prone to overstatements. Right? President Levine.
Somewhat.
But
this is a restrained overstatement.
So this is a qualified Manhattan Project, but I've always believed that the investment we should make is on a scale of an order of magnitude greater in this issue, in this, so long as economic equity is taken into account. And I did not see that played up too much in this Geosyntec report. I really would like to see that dealt with in all future projects that come before us. And I also believe that the externalities can be quantified a little better, just like the UCPT. I think that if we're going to be doing things that don't look, sound, and smell like something that Wall Street says and the bean counters say it's $300 per acre foot or $0 per acre foot, as I was quoted for one of these projects. But I was wondering how that happened. But on the other end, if we're on the other end of the scale, like Woodman Avenue or Pacoima or wherever, that we try to quantify those benefits as much as possible rather than leaving them subjective, because I think that the public has a right to know. I think the public will buy into the notion more if it knows, as you know, my good friend Jack Humphreyville is prone to point out, he calls these pet projects, but I think that they need to undergo some rigor, and I'm looking forward to seeing that rigor applied to the future projects. I hope we can continue to get more awards, and we can look back when we're all off this commission and say that we really got something started or kept something going from the prior commission that made an impact that goes into the next century. So.
Thank you very much for that. And I would like to say that Andy and his team have been working on this for over 2 years, and the award is proof positive. They've done pretty good jobs. I'd like to recognize their efforts.
Other questions or comments?
I have a
President
comment.
Yes.
I actually have, Commissioner.
Okay. My comment may not be part of your overall scheme of things, the master plan, but I would like us to address what the everyday person can do in terms of stormwater. Sure. People say, well, it doesn't rain, but it does rain, and we're going to have rain in the fall when we have our, quote, rainy season, and I think that we should gear up for that and let people know what they can do to capture the stormwater.
Well, that's a very good question, and we do have some programs that people can take advantage of right now. In fact, a residential customer can buy up to 4 rain barrels. We'll give them $100 per rain barrel. They can install those on their properties. Other things they can consider doing, they can install a rain garden or a cistern on their property. I know if Andy was up here, Andy Lipkis was up here, he'd say there's things that you can do around your trees, remove the lawn right underneath the tree and replace it with some mulch or some wood chips that will capture that water and hold it. So there are things that people can do on property, and really it's just some common sense measures to try to keep that water on property and either reuse it or allow it to infiltrate into your property.
How are we getting that message out to
Well,
our ratepayers?
Yeah, people can see the availability of those incentives on our website, ladwp.com, the same manner they see the other incentives we offer for various conservation devices.
We've spent a lot of money in our conservation budget on media pushes, commercials, advertisements. There's been quite an effort, and we'll continue to invest in that outreach.
Well, I think the insert in our bills would be maybe a step. What, something about that in the insert, about what people can do, in terms of stormwater. Like, where do you get the barrels?
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to continue to really start to leverage this whole area more, especially if we actually have an El Nino year. There's going to be a lot of stormwater to try to capture. So as we're moving this effort forward, pushing it out, getting the public to understand is a big thing. A couple particular efforts in partnership with Tree People, LA San, and LA County. We are starting a cistern, kind of a smart cistern pilot program where we're going to put these cisterns in where we can actually kind of control the amount of water they store for local use or release it into the ground to catch more stormwater when the next rain comes. And that'll be starting very shortly here. And also there's discussion now about, with the change in the rebates for turf removal and this and that, as we see what the public appetite is at the new rebate level, we're looking at maybe changing some of the criteria. One of the thoughts is that people should use their redone lawns to catch any rainwater so it doesn't run off. And so maybe include grading and things so that more water stays on the property. So this is an area that's evolving very quickly right now, and we're going to continue to get good programs out to the public and message that.
And we've been promoting all of the rebates at our presentations on myladwp.com website.
I had another quick question for you, and I'm afraid to add. Sorry to cut you off. But okay. I assume distributed water generation is kind of like solar. Like there are 15,000 homes with solar, and there are all these problems with interconnection and barriers to entry and blah 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 blah. And maybe I'm assuming incorrectly. And the cost is dramatically greater than it is without subsidy than it is on a utility scale. And maybe it's just my simple mind. I think of utility scale solar that Dr. Pickle always likes to, support, and maybe the net metering, compared to more just the individual basis on the power system. And I see the spreading grounds, and then I see rain barrels. How many residential lots do we have where rain barrels are installed? Is it 15,000? Is it 5,000? Is it 1,000? Does anybody keep track of that?
Probably the low thousands right now.
It's a few thousand now.
Okay, and I am assuming that the distribution economically is very similar. In other words, the people who can participate in that, probably people who can afford it and pay attention to those types of programs.
Well, for $100, you can almost get there with a rain barrel. And we provide $25 of that $100, the LADWP, and then our funding partner, the Metropolitan Water District, provides $75. So it'll get you pretty close to where you'll have enough money to put water.
I encourage it. I just think that whatever, it's great to say that we offer the rebates and offer whatever, but let's measure. I'd like to see whatever the progress is. I looked at my reports and I saw our solar penetration and our residential. Specifically, I look at that number of how many homes where we've got installed capacity, and I think that something that needs to bear attention. The other thing is for funding supplemental environmental projects. Have those been targeted at all for consideration to tie into the stormwater recapture master plan projects?
So are you thinking about like Green Street programs inside the city of LA?
Talking about permittees and violators that pay into funds because they violate their permits for stormwater discharge, and now all of a sudden stormwater is not just a liability, it's an asset. And we've known that for some time, but the notion of going to try to aggressively and strategically go after that SEP money for these projects is something that I think we should consider, and I'd like a report back on as well.
Sure.
The last thing is on, because I just killed my lawn myself and got some water got a lot of, as Dr. Evans, he thought the Funderburk household was on life support or something, because there was no water coming into it. Hey, if we could consider, if we do this turf removal, again, I like that idea, but deed restricting property, because I don't think that people I think that'll make the program, it'll eliminate the people, it'll eliminate a lot of people, but I think that you'll still get a demand for it if people are required to deed restrict their property. And deed restricting property is a significant issue. A lot of people don't like to do it. They don't like to do that, but it makes, these are long-term. That's not just supposed to be 3 to 5 years, and then we get a new homeowner that decides they want to put a lawn back in. So I guess I would just ask you if you could look at that for consideration.
We can look into that. I mean, in our approach to that so far has been that we think that if somebody is going to take out their entire lawn, take out their irrigation system, put in a drip irrigation system, cover the yard with either rock or several inches of mulch, put in drought-friendly plants, to take all that back out in a short period of time, tons of rock, it's going to be somewhat prohibitive. So, but we can certainly look into this.
I guess, again, going back to the zip codes and affluence, where are these lawns being taken out? Are they being taken out in higher income or low income zip codes?
We did look at that. And we can bring it back to you. It's fairly well distributed.
Yes. It is.
Yeah. We have maps for that to show you.
For residential, not for commercial.
Right.
Okay.
One thing we'll do regarding that and the rain barrels, we'll bring you a summary to the board of all the conservation programs and the participation levels and where we're seeing that. So you can see both turf, the rain barrels, everything else that we're doing.
The only reason I mention it is that the people who have lawns that are significant, that have participated in the rebate program, they move, corporation moves, whatever new homeowner comes in, they're not used to spending just $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 to move into their new house. Putting a lawn in would be a minor expense to them, and compared to what a lot of people are doing when they move into some of the houses, that especially the ones with the may have bigger lawns. So I don't know if it's anecdotal or if there's empirical evidence to show that these lawns are likely to stay, the converted lawns are likely to stay where they are. But I would just say that be considered, because when you see people moving into homes, they're spending $250,000 to $1 million just to do whatever renovations and everything, then putting a lawn back in is probably not going to be as big of a deal as it might be for other people. Okay.
Can I get back to the rain barrels for a minute?
Yeah.
Are we involving the Los Angeles Unified School District in the rain barrels? Because there are hundreds of schools, and I would think that you could put 2 or 3 or 4 rain barrels at each site and collect water that way. And it's also a great educational tool for schools.
Yes, we are. We are planning to do that, and we are coming back to the board with another agreement with LA Unified School District for the distributed recharge program on sites, where LA Unified School District is going to designate schools that are prone to, as far as capturing stormwater, doing rain barrels and rain gardens. So we will be coming back to the board.
So they haven't been using them yet. Is that right?
We did have a program with Los Angeles Beautification Team that we contracted with LA Unified School District. This was in the East Valley area. We selected 5 schools that they did that. The downspout disconnect, and it was a showcase, educational purpose for students.
Right. So now can we expand that?
We are planning to do that, yes.
You're planning to do that?
Right.
Oh, good. That's good.
And lastly, thank you for the One Water memo. I did read it, and I think Commissioner Noonan had requested it as well. So it's very, very helpful, and I look forward to being kept apprised as the program continues to get rolled out.
Welcome.
Dr. Pickle?
We've accepted the task of reviewing how projects are analyzed, and they now have their process in place and announced. Our one key concern in this is sometimes these projects are linked, where one project supports one or several others. And I think understanding as they build a network of projects, understanding those economics is more complicated than project by project review.
Other comments, other questions? I'll just add my own words of praise. And a brief personal comment. I was trying to calculate in my mind how many decades I've been familiar with the good work that Andy Lipkiss and Tree People have done. I know it's more than 3. I think I first became aware of them in the mid-'70s, or at the latest in the late '70s. I actually remember, didn't you guys you sponsor a race on the Marina Freeway in the '70s? Or am I? Yes.
There's a picture of you running on it.
Yeah, okay. I remember it. I can't run anymore, but that tells you how long ago I've been admiring your work.
I'm a 22-year-old congressman.
You're right, 12-year-old. By the way, we do have one speaker card on this. Barbara?
Okay, the speaker is Andy Lipkiss.
Oh. How appropriate.
I've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to race reading the notes, and I'll try to throw in some of the comments like your award for finishing that race.
It was an award for finishing, as
I got champagne poured over me. We, Tree People, are pleased to present and support this plan, which we, especially Deborah Weinstein-Bloom, our policy director, helped launch starting 7 years ago, this process, under an MOA that we have with you and the previous board, in which it's a pro bono MOA, which costs the city and the taxpayers, ratepayers nothing, because donors and foundations support us, supporting you. It's critical that we implement this plan, as it will bring a substantial amount of new local water online for Los Angeles and help the city meet its 50% local supply goal. The multiple benefit approach will set a stage for new thinking and new infrastructure for the next 100 years. It's really a breakthrough. And once we educate the public on the multi-benefit approach, we believe it's going to appeal to ratepayers because it can sync with water quality and other really important goals and be much more cost effective when they understand the big picture, as Fred was referring to. Most importantly, this work can be highly accelerated. You saw a conservative and an aggressive approach. Both are pretty aggressive. But there's an ability, when we partner, to really make it fly. And I'll get back to that in the next sentence. But that acceleration can be achieved and implemented as they did in Australia during their drought. 50% of the homes in some cities within 5 years installed not rain barrels, but large cisterns through aggressive incentives. It was a radical change, and they did it, and that's why we take people there to see it. The program can be financed by many sources beyond DWP. The Energy Commission, Public Utilities Commission, for greenhouse gas reduction and cap and trade funding, because this is about locally developed water. Can I have 3 more sentences?
Yeah.
Thank you. Which don't require the energy that the California aqueduct requires, the largest use of electricity in the state, to pump down here. It can be leveraged with other city goals and regulations like the Enhanced Watershed Management Plan, sidewalk replacement. Same goals of sinking water into the ground have many benefits. Now that you've heard this, it's our turn to turn our attention to the education that you're talking about, and outreach and demonstration projects to quickly make this a reality. We need to educate the City Council. We would love to take you out to see how these projects work as well. Please support this and work to implement it. And we're going to continue doing what we do, educating homeowners, homeowner associations, and helping bring other agencies together. I just want to finish and say it's been an incredible privilege working with your staff and your team. Jim before and Marty's picked up the reins, and you heard we're just starting a really incredible project that is a joint project with DWP, LA County Public Works, LA City Sanitation, all sharing in the funding of creating a new state-of-the-art smart water grid infrastructure. So stand by. I think you will be proud, and I think the public will see you as a nimble, efficient organization. So
we appreciate your leadership over such a long time and on such an important ongoing basis.
Well, thank you.
And I'd like to chime in. The privilege is ours, and I'm fortunate to live close to tree people, and I appreciate everything you do. And I'll just speak from personal experience. Having 2 young children, it's like a religious thing that, in 2nd, 3rd grade, the field trip is at Tree People. And I think that this would be a wonderful opportunity, since we are funding so many item agendas to educate the public. I think it'd be wonderful to partner up in this stage with Tree People to really have, this next generation really appreciate water conservation, whether it is, recapturing stormwater, what have it be. You have, a beautiful facility, beautiful grounds. We're in unison, I think, on principle. And so I would love to suggest that perhaps we consider doing something more substantial and educating the public. Since day in and day out, even when I personally go on hikes, I see so many young children there on their field trips that I think that we have, the perfect audience to really take advantage of working in unison with our collective vision.
Well, nothing would make us happier to do that. I want to invite so our facility is city-owned. It's an LA City Park facility built with remains of William Mulholland's construction facilities in 1920. We would be happy to host a board meeting there. We have a conference center with 150 space for 150 people, adjacent to our 218,000-gallon cistern. And our water education facilities. So we'd love to have you.
Maybe we should just move our offices there.
We have 60 staff in 7 yurts, and you're happy to share. We'd be happy to have you share a desk. But please come.
Yeah, and I just want to add, my case in point is, I favored the LaCretz vote, and I'm very excited about that project. I still am concerned about the parking situation, which I have visited the site, and I understand how they're going to try and remedy that. But I think here we already have a captured audience that really expands beyond downtown, and I think it would be an injustice not to take advantage of partnering up in the future with educational exhibitions and partnerships with Free People.
Thanks.
Did you draft her remarks? No.
I didn't. No, we haven't barely ever met.
Yeah, I see.
She hasn't run in any of our runs. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy, very much. Thanks. If there's no further business, this will conclude our meeting.